Hey guys, today we're talking about fusion summoning. If you guys remembered a while back, fusion summoning was actually not that great. You could even argue it was pretty bad. In terms of pure fusion archetypes, I can't really think of a good one, but like DD for example did have some fusions, but you can access the fusions with like Vice Typhon, you can access them with Swirl Slime, or not Swirl Slime, Necro Slime. Well, actually, yeah, Swirl Slime, you can. So it's like these three, they can go into the fusion monsters as their effect, and they don't really have another effect for the most part, right? Like Vice Typhon has an effect when it is normal summon, you contribute 1 DD monster, special summon a level 7 DDD monster from your deck. This is a little weird because there's no like rank 7 DDD as far as I remember, right? But anyways, aside from like probably DD exactly, Fluffle has like one card I believe. Uh and it is their Scythe, which is not showing up here, is it? Let's see. Scythe. And alright, found it. Edge of Scythe. And this is only during your opponent's main phase. You can quick effect, reveal this card in your hand, and then fusion summon a fight for fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, which is pretty decent overall, but still obviously lacking when you compare it to something like tier limits. But still like fairly strong, being able to just fusion summon on like your opponent's first turn, I guess. That will never be like a bad effect overall, I guess. But in general, fusions were kind of in a ritual situation for like a good amount of time, where it's similar in that you needed like a ritual spell, and then you need like your materials. So, well, you don't need materials necessarily for ritual monsters. You need like a material, and then you need the ritual monster you're ritual summoning in hand. So that's like 3 monsters. Fusion summon is similar because you can't fusion summon with just one monster. You need at least 2, and then you need the fusion spell. So that puts you at like 3 as well. But the difference between fusions and rituals that makes them like conceptually a little bit better is that you just have 2 like main deck monsters that you're using as like fusion material. In case of like a ritual deck, a ritual monster in your hand is pretty much just a straight up brick that you can do absolutely nothing with. Like for example, we'll go with like one of the strongest ritual monsters. We have Herald of Perfection, or we have like our Herald of Ultimateness. This card is completely useless in your hand. It has like literally no effect. Nothing. Well, what can you do with this card? Like, assuming you don't have a ritual spell, like, you just shove this in your deck. What does this do? Literally nothing. You can't do anything with this. If you're not, like, trying to ritual summon this, I guess, specifically, what does Herald of Ultimateness do? It's just a straight up brick. There you go. You can't even summon it. Like, right? So, if you have, for example, I don't know, let's say, uh, Elemental Hero Neos, I believe, right? Let's say we have Neos. Isn't it Elemental Hero Neos? Or am I crazy? Is he even an Elemental Hero? Yeah, he is. Okay, so even Elemental Hero Neos as like a normal monster, you can still normal summon Elemental Hero Neos. Like assuming you're not even playing any of the newer support or whatever. If you normal summon elemental hero Neos, boom, you have Neos. He's on the field, he exists, you know? So, moderately better there. But if we take it another step further with, like, for example, Fluffle, your monsters are not, like, just straight up, they're not straight up bricks, like, they're not just vanillas. They actually all have effects. So, either when you use them as material, or, like, you can normal summon them, like Fluffle Dog, for example. Add Gym Sabers or a Fluffle monster from your deck to your hand effect, whatever. They do something. So, because of that, they're generally better. I mean, Benten, I guess, is like kind of the same in that, like, if you tribute Benten, then you can add a Light Fairy to your hand, I guess. But, like, you still can't normal summon Benten or anything, I guess. So it's still a little bit more lacking in that you kind of have to use the monsters in that sort of way, I guess. And you're only limited to that, I guess. So, like, for example, let's see. If we go to Branded, for example, well, or Despia, I guess, in this case, that there are technically no branded monsters, I think, for the main deck. They're Despia monsters, but whatever. So you have a lot more consistency than some decks. Well, actually, I'm not sure if that's the case anymore, but whatever. So you have the effect here to add any branded spell trap from your deck to your hand. So you can add like a branded fusion now, you can add branded opening, you can add branded in red. And all of those are like fairly good fusion spells. And let's see, we also have like Despian Tragedy and let's see, Despia Theater of the Branded, and these are all generic, and they just allow you to do fusion summoning. Pretty simple, I guess. So this doesn't quite like break the mold like with like Theater or Branded in Red. This is pretty standard stuff. What we've been starting to get now is cards kind of like Branded Fusion. And then Tearlaments kind of just takes it to a whole nother level. So with Branded Fusion, you're obviously like, it's just a one-card fusion summon, which is insane. And we have cards like that, like Fusion Destiny. We have like Shadow Fusion, although Shadow Fusion has more of a condition, I believe, than... Well, I'm not even sure if it was Shadow Fusion, but there's some Shadow card that allows you to fusion summon with like monsters from your main deck. If your opponent controls special summon monster from the extra deck or something like that. If they do, then you can use monsters from your deck. But Branded Fusion just straight up allows you to use any monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material, as long as it mentions Fallen of Elbaz, and of course that means you can send any light or any dark. With like Fusion Destiny, you can send like Destiny heroes from your deck or hand, and that works as well. And then you summon like Destiny hero, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer. And that was like already like pretty strong for fusion summoning. it's just like a one card combo as well, which is pretty nasty, I guess, would be one way to phrase it. So us after that, immediately after, we also got like tier elements. And tier elements, they just cut out the middleman altogether. Just remove like the equivalent of polymerization here. You remove the spell altogether, and now it's just not Kaleido Heart. We have Rhino Heart. So we normal summon Rhino Heart, and then that allows us to send like any tier element girl, I guess. So like, I don't know, send Merly for example, and then we can fusion summon into like Kick Kalos, and then like Kick Kalos search effect, whatever. So Rhino Heart essentially is the equivalent to like Branded Fusion, more or less. But like, instead of as a spell, this is basically just a monster. This is essentially just Branded Fusion as a warrior monster. Would be one way to look at it, I guess. And that's kind of like the trend we're going in right now. I don't think that, well, actually, would this be possible for ritual monsters as well? Are they going to be played like this in the future as well? I'm not really sure. But like, you have to gain so much advantage as like a ritual deck, and you still have to run like essentially bricks because there are cards that you kind of must search, and you will search definitely, right? So for example, like Medionis, for example, like this card, pretty cracked. But you have to well, you kind of lose like advantage in terms of like card advantage if you just opened Medionis Drytron. If you didn't open it, you were going to do a search for it, and now you have nothing to search, I believe. Depending on the build, I suppose, but if you don't have Medionis Drytron to search, you're basically going -1 overall in your combo. But like, Telements doesn't have this problem with their fusion summons because they simply do not have like a fusion spell like polymerization or whatever. There's like no equivalent to that at all. Not even remotely. Because they purely do fusions with monsters. And even like DD, for example, Fluffle, all of those, they do still use some kind of like fusion spell for like DD though. They have 2 of them, and I believe right now in the builds being played, you only play 1 of them, so you don't play Forbidden Dark Contract with the Swamp King. You only play let's see, where is it? Oh, there it is. Dark Contract with the Swamp King. What's the difference between these two anyways? I don't remember. You can special summon a DDD monster from your hand in defense position, but its effects are negated. Once per turn, you can fusion summon one being type fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials, including a monster special summoned by this card with the above effect. So this is basically a worse version to an extent. Gotcha. Don't really want to be playing Forbidden Dark Contract with the Swamp King. It is still a Dark Contract, though. Well, whatever. No idea how you play, like, really old DD anyways. But essentially, you could consider, like, fusions, like, modernized, I guess. And, yeah, that kind of helps out a good amount. And I don't remember particularly any fusion like boss monsters being that strong as it happens. Like if we go here, I guess let's go UR as well. So what boss monsters did we have? Timaeus, Trishula, the Dark Magicians. Is there anything interesting at all? Sky Galloping Gaia, Thunder Dragon Colossus. In terms of fusion decks, there's Predaplant, I guess. So let's see. Before DP was added into the game, what was the best fusion deck? Like, I would not consider DD a fusion deck. Like, not as much as I would consider like Hero or Predaplant a fusion deck. None of the like fusions in DD are really like good endboard pieces for your opponent's turn because you don't really have any interruptions. Some of them are more boss monster like than others, but playing them's really painful, I'd say overall. But anyways, let's see. Cyber's Clock Dragon, Ancient Gear, Mutant. Well, Mutant is not bad because you actually have like a... This isn't a negate actually. It's a pop, right? Yeah. And then it becomes like unaffected by one type of like effect. We have first Dark Lord, so we have Dark Lords, and then we have Dreamer is not in contention at all. We have ABC Dragon Buster, so they don't really use polymerization because contact fuse. So not really. Ojama, Gravekeeper, Ritual Beast. And then I guess there was like some pen stuff, but they're a bit weird as well. So like nothing like super noteworthy, I believe. Like I guess there's Luna Light. But I believe you don't necessarily go into like the fusion monsters. You're probably just doing like an FTK if you're playing Luna Light, like honestly. Or you're making Kali Yuga, so whatever. I guess Invoked, like Purgatrio and stuff, Shaddolls. And then we have like Prank Kids. So I think the best fusion deck was probably like Shaddolls before like DB dropped with like... Yeah, and we had Fusion Destiny as well. And DB was the target. Like before that happened, I think Shaddol was probably the like overall most played like fusion deck, I think. I haven't really seen Shaddol played anymore, but in theory I think that was probably the best monster. Well, the best deck anyways. And if we go back further, of course, I don't really think fusions would be better than, like, for example, Synchro or XYZ. If we think about it, like, just the mechanic normally, let's see, we have XYZ, Synchro. Fusion and Ritual are kind of, like, lacking. Like, even if we don't consider boss monsters, if I wanted to summon, like, one Synchro monster from my extra deck, I just need to special summon, like, one monster and then normal summon another monster. Same with, like, XYZ. So I, like, for something like a Rayquaza, I need to, like, special summon either a tuner or a non-tuner and then normal summon a tuner or non-tuner. And then I can use those two monsters to go into my Synchro. And that's it, to do a fusion summon, you need like the equivalent of a polymerization, and then you need like the two monsters you want to use as material, and that's just pretty uh painful, honestly. Well, we can put it that way, because the polymerization card is most of the time like kind of a brick of sorts, because you want to search it. But because you want to search it, this actually becomes like uh whatchamacallit, a choke point. So if your polymerization search is ashed, for example, then you can't make your play. This would be like the case with like invoked, because I'm pretty sure you want to play invocation at 2 or 3. So let's say we activate Magical Meltdown, we don't ash that. Normal summon Alistair, we ash Alistair, and then you can't add invocation, then what do? You pass on like just Alistair? I guess you do, right? Because you don't have invocation, you can't play the game. That's kind of how it goes. And then but like, for example, if we have like XYZs, we don't need, well, XYZ or Synchro, we don't need to do like a search necessarily, right? For XZ summoning or Synchro summoning, we just summon our two monsters, we make our monster, and we still have the monster. Even if we get ashed or something now, we still have that monster. But with fusion summoning, you have no way to like get the material back anyways. Like, let's say instead of like having something like invoked, if you like normal summon, I believe there was a hero monster, like, what was it called? Like Prism. Elemental Hero Prisma. So once per turn, you can reveal one fusion monster from your extra deck, then send one of the fusion materials whose name is specifically listed on that card from your deck to the graveyard. This card's name becomes the sent monsters until then phase. This is not quite what I thought the effect was, but close. So with a like, if this was all an effect, actually, is this? No, it's not. So you can't actually negate this with Ash Blossom Joy Spring. But like, if this does get negated, for example, and you need the name to be the same as the monster you sent, then let's say, for example, your opponent just destroys this by battle, and now you just don't have the means to go into your like monster, right? Even if you draw into like the fusion spell like the turn immediately after. So kind of slacking there. Like, really noticeably, when I was playing like ritual decks for a while, I noticed really hard that like when you start losing with like a ritual spell, or ritual deck, it's really hard to come back, because you don't have like a one card combo at all, or like a one card you can necessarily do anything with. Like, the best top deck I might have is just like uh Manju of the 10,000 hands. I normal summon this, and then I need to live another turn. Yeah, that's about as good as it gets, I guess. And then I have to top deck something that works, I guess. Probably like, I don't know, a second Manju. Like, if we're playing Megalith, for example, we only need 2 cards, right? Like, if you have like Megalith Hagith with like Megalith Unformed, you can probably make it work, right? Like, Megalith Unformed with a lot of different Megalith cards probably just works. But if we were playing like, for example, let's say, I think Vendred is a good example. If I have like, for example, Vendred Revenant in my hand. Well, not exactly Vendred, I guess. I don't really know ritual decks that well, but let's say I have normal run-of-the-mill monster, and then we have like our ritual monster, like Slayer, for example. There's absolutely nothing that Slayer does for me until I get like some kind of access into a ritual spell. So even if I had like Scar of the Vendred, for example, if I can't discard this or remove this from my hand, that's dead, and this would be the search for my ritual spell, I guess. So pretty dead hand. And assuming I already used some resources, it's even worse, straight up. Like, for example, I already used my copy of Avendred Savior, and well, let's just say my opponent's playing Kishtira, for example. So they Diablosis my other Avendred Savior, and now I have no more Avendred Savior, and I cannot recover at all. I can't go into Avendred Savior. Not that I have the materials to go into Avendred Savior. And I have a brick like this, 2 bricks in my hand. And I didn't draw the card that lets me play the game, which would be like, for example, exactly either charge or a ritual spell. So I can summon Slayer. It didn't happen. So I literally can only pass and hope my opponent like just passes back. Set 1 pass, basically, is the best you can do. But if you set that 1 card, you can't play the next turn guaranteed. That's kind of like how it goes with like ritual or fusion from behind before, but now like with branded fusion, you can top deck like, for example, Spriggan's Kit. That'll do the job. A Luber, Thespian Tragedy, just raw branded fusion, whatever. Like just a myriad of cards. Like even Serenir can potentially do it, because Serenir can just send a branded spell trap. The one you typically send is let's see. No, not this one. Which one was it? It is a branded card of some kind, right? There we go. Branded Retribution. So you can send Branded Retribution and then add back your Branded Fusion and then do your entire combo again, and Lubellion puts stuff back for you as well. So overall branded, they're doing pretty well, I guess, compared to what fusion decks used to be in comparison. I guess Dark Lord was kind of like different in how they operated as well. Wow, why is this showing up? So Dark Lords, you don't necessarily ever activate like Dark Lord Uprising normally. You actually would activate the effect of like a Dark Lord to copy the effect of a Dark Lord spell trap, and this does not copy their cost. Usually the Dark Lord like traps have this cost of send a Dark Lord monster from your hand or face up field to the graveyard, and then you can activate the actual effect. The Dark Lord monsters just copy the effect, so you just have to get the Dark Lord Uprising into your graveyard somehow. And that's pretty cool, I guess. And you can just like fusion summon that way. And this makes like Dark Lord Uprising more like recyclable, which is pretty cool, I guess. For example, and then if we look at, for example, Sacred Beasts. Well, searching Sacred Beast doesn't do anything, does it? Well, except for this. So there's Sacred Beast fusion monsters, and I don't even know how you're supposed to... Wow, this is really annoying to build Sacred Beasts, isn't it? Let's see, how are you supposed to make Armityle the Chaos Phantasm? I see, it's Contact Fuse. What about this one? How do we summon this? Dimension Fusion Destruction. I mean, they're on here. Banish from your hand, field, and or graveyard the fusion materials that are listed on a Phantasm fusion monster. Special summon it. Yada yada. Okay. Now, how do we add this to our hand? Ermital? No. Opening of the Spirit Gates. This doesn't search it either. How do you even search this? Do you just need to draw into it? You can add one. Dark Beckoning Beast can add this, maybe? Does it mention them? Yes. So you have just Dark Beckoning Beast to add, like, Dimension Fusion Destruction. This was actually just really obnoxious to find, to be honest. But yeah, fusions are a lot stronger now, I guess. If we look at Predaplant, I think they probably have a one-card combo as well. And that one-card combo happens to also, yeah, normal summon Predaplant or Ophrys Scorpio is just like how you start an FTK line, isn't it? Well, whatever the case. I just kind of want to talk about how fusion summoning has become a lot stronger and is seeing a lot more play in Master Duel right now. If we go back to like around the start of Master Duel, like the only fusion deck being played was just like Shaddoll. And that was probably it. If you saw any other decks, you didn't see it often. And that's all I've got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.